Hello. I was just grabbing some stuff from the fridge. Happy Friday. Hope you all had a good week. Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really easy crostini appetizer that I like serving. It's prosciutto and brie crostini with dried apricots. It kind of capitalizes on my favorite parts of a good charcuterie board. So it's got like some dried meat, some cheese, something sweet, well, a couple sweet things, because I do a little honey drizzle on top too. Out of the ladder. I'm only going to make a couple because I'm the only one home right now. So normally when I do this, I do a full baguette, and it's easy to make. It's great for parties. You can add it to a cheese board. The post that I have on my site that shows it, I also had it with a chorizo and honeyed chorizo and fig crostini. That's really good too. So if you're new here, my name's Ashley. I have the website Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen. It's at bigflavorstinyKitchen.com. You can also find me on social media at Big Flavors. On Twitter is at Big Flavors Blog. And I'm going to go ahead and preheat the broiler. I've talked about this before. If you have an electric oven, when you preheat your broiler, you should keep it propped open a little bit. Hey there, Nicole. So if you have an electric oven, you should keep the door popped open a bit. My broiler is on top. This is also a small oven. I have like a half-size oven on top and then a full size on the bottom. Some people's broiler is underneath, but I have the rack on the top notch so that the element is right on top there so that my bread can get nice and toasty right underneath that. And I didn't have any slivered almonds. No, I have slivered almonds. I didn't have any sliced almonds. So I love brie. Yeah, me too. The first time I made this with a goat brie. Today I have just a regular. I don't think this is a goat's milk one. It's not, but I mean, this would work with camembert, like any kind of soft bloomy rind cheese would be really good. There's this cheese called St. Stephen that I got from, I got it from Whole Foods, but they sell it at a lot of places locally here in Hudson Valley. Hi, Amy. The brand is called Four Fat Fowl, and they have this one called St. Stephen that's a really nice, bloomy, I don't know if it's a brie, but it's a really soft cheese, and that's really good on there too. Hey, Casey. So I'm going to toast some slivered almonds today, and slivered almonds are the ones that look like this. They're pre-cut and kind of like chunky. I would rather use the sliced, really thin ones for this, but this is what I have. So I'm just going to put them in a skillet. And I'm going to run out to my porch to grab some chives because I forgot that. Bear with me 1 minute. I love that it's herb season now, so my chives from last year popped back up, and I didn't mean to grab one of the flowers that's not open yet, but there's a lot of chive blossoms on there now. So I'm going to use these instead of arugula because I didn't want to buy arugula just for this. I just like having something a little green on top. So slivered almonds in a cold skillet, well, not cold, but like room temperature skillet. And then I'm just going to put this on a burner on like medium heat because I don't want to burn them. And just every once in a while shake it until they start getting fragrant and toasty. And again, you don't have to toast them. I didn't toast the slivered almonds that I made in the recipe. I just add the sliced almonds. I just kind of like how it adds a little kick to them. That was the loudest wrapper ever. Sorry about that. This is, well, half a baguette. Sometimes stores sell demi baguettes, and they're about this big instead of the full-size one. And I do have a lot of information. I linked the post above in the description. I have a lot of information about like what crostini is and how to make sure it cooks consistently, and just kind of tips on how to make it good for whatever toppings you're putting on it regardless. Because there's a couple things that'll help you, like cutting your bread consistently so that everything's kind of the same width. I'm just going to cut it on an angle instead of straight across. It just kind of looks fancier, gives you a little more surface area. Like this side I cut straight across. I made garlic bread last night. But I'm going to cut them about a 1/4 inch thick. Again, it doesn't really matter as long as they're all about the same. But I like having a nice sturdy base for whatever toppings I'm going to put on. And you want to be careful to not use super, super wet toppings because it'll make it soggy. But I actually need to, once summer tomatoes are here, I'm going to make my bruschetta recipe that me and my father-in-law used to make together. It's really good, and it starts out the same way with toasting the baguettes and adding rubbing a garlic clove on them while they're still warm. Alright, I'm just going to do a few pieces like that. Turn the heat up a little bit. We'll see if I burn them, hopefully not. Just kind of line them up. I'm using a 1/4 sheet pan since I'm only doing a few today. But just going to line them up, give them a little room in between on a baking sheet. And you want to use one that is okay to use in the broiler, so don't go for a non-stick one. Hi, Herb. So after you have those on your baking sheet, use some regular olive oil. You don't need to use extra virgin for this part, but just do kind of a light drizzle. You don't want to saturate the bread too much and make it soggy. But what I like to do is once I've drizzled it a little bit, I just kind of like rub them around a little on the pan to get a nice coating but not too soggy of olive oil all over. And you can do this on the grill if you have your grill set up. I like doing it on the broiler just because it's easy. I think I kind of use the broiler a lot for this, but and then just give them a little space in between. And then I'm going to put them in the broiler. Usually it takes about 2 or 3 minutes for one side and a little less for the second side, but it depends on your oven. And while that's in there, I'm going to take the peel off of 1 clove of garlic. You can try this little thing again. This like peels it off without smashing, because you know a lot of times if you take your knife and you whack it down there, it kind of destroys the shape of the garlic. So it just popped right off. You can also do metal bowls if you have them, something like this. This is another trick that I found. Any sort of like metal container that you have 2 the same of, you can put a clove of garlic in there. So peel is on, and then you kind of hold them together and make sure that they don't pop open and just shake it. Ooh, got a little out there. See if this works. Sometimes it does, but I think, yeah, not so much this time. I find with a lot of these tricks, sometimes they work really well, sometimes they don't. It loosened it a little. Sometimes you can get like a whole bunch of garlic all peeled at once that way. But whichever way you peel it, you just don't want to smash the clove because you want to be able to use it to rub on top of the crostini. All right, let's see how this is doing. Getting a little bit of smoke on the bread right now, but it's not brown yet. These out. Another thing when you're making this with your cheese, if you can leave it out at room temperature at least 15 or 30 minutes is good, because because the flavors of the cheese come out at room temperature. So if it's too cold, it's not necessarily great. Hey, Ellen. You won't get the full flavor of the cheese. And if you don't believe it, the next time you have some cheese, take a bite right out of the fridge, like slice a piece off and take a bite, and then try it again after it's been sitting out for a little while and see the difference. So these are starting to get nice and charred. So I'm going to flip them over. I'm going to toast on the other side. And like I said, usually the second side cooks a little faster than the first does. I'm not getting two bowls ready for garlic cloves yet. Hey, Charlie. Yeah, you know, well, it didn't work for me this time anyway, but all those things kind of are inconsistent. Like all the tricks for a hard boiling egg so that the shells come off, I find that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So what I like to do for this recipe is I take the garlic clove and I just kind of slice off the root end so that I have a little bit of the garlic exposed. So just slice it off right there. And then the bread is almost done. I'm going to take, the nuts got a little toasty, I don't know if you can tell, but they're a little bit brown. So if you take them out of the skillet, because they'll keep cooking. If you're making this and you want to do part of it ahead of time, you could toast your baguette. You don't have to use a baguette. It's just kind of a nice size for it. You could toast your baguette and rub it with garlic ahead of time, and then just like pop it in a container, and then assemble like right before people come over because you don't want them to get soggy while sitting there. All right, so I've got some toasty baguette. And like I said, there's a ton of different combinations you can do when it comes to crostini. And if you're not, you need a big flavor apron. I have a guy that embroidered it for me. I could, if people are actually interested in, I could have them made, but up to you. Let me know. So basically, crostini just means crispy bread with that you serve as an appetizer, and most people know bruschetta with it. And there's tons of different things you can use. Some people put like tapenade on there. Like I said, I have a fig and goat cheese one on my site. I'm just going to take 3. While it's still hot, you want to take the clove, the side that you cut, and just kind of, ooh, that's hot. I'm trying to show you, but you just kind of rub the cut end into, got like serious dropsies today. All right, I'm going to do that over here, but you're just rubbing the cut end onto the hot bread, and since it's toasted, it'll kind of melt into there. I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of like shiny because I've got the garlic juices in there. Hey, Jennifer. So I like doing that, and I'll go ahead and, I'm not probably going to assemble all of these right now, but I'll go ahead and rub some garlic on those too, just so the flavor is there for when I do go to enjoy them. And when I make bruschetta, I do the same. I rub it with this stuff, and then I put the tomato mixture on top. And the more you do, the smaller your garlic clove will get. So if you're doing a full baguette, you might need a couple cloves. Or if you like things really garlicky, which my family does, you might need a little bit more. All right, so the bread is ready. Put these ones back here. And you can hear they're pretty toasty because you want a nice solid base for your toppings. And there are holes in a baguette, so depending on your toppings, you could have some little bit of messiness dripping through. Okay, so for the toppings, On the recipe on my site, I had baby arugula on top, but for today I'm going to do some chives. You don't want something with a ton of flavor. Watercress might work, although sometimes I find watercress is really super spicy. It's not always. Pea shoots or any type of microgreens would work. If you have baby spinach, you could do a little bit of that. Maybe cut it up so the pieces aren't huge. So, got some chives there. This is the brie that I'm using today. When I originally made the recipe, I used a goat brie, and it was really good. The Big Flavors Aprons rock. Thank you. You can use any type of soft bloomy rind cheese that you want. This would also be good with other types of cheese. I just really like the way that this works with the prosciutto. And this is also like great for outdoor entertaining. Use this little cleaver. Let's see. So you can see the inside of this cheese. It's like kind of soft up here. It's a little bit of a give. The longer it sits at room temperature, kind of the softer it'll get on the inside. And something like a camembert looks similar, but it has more of a creamy center, and a triple cream brie would be fantastic. That one gets nice and soft and delicious on the inside. So this is about the same size as this, so I'm going to go ahead and do like a full slice across. But you just kind of want to cut it maybe similarly, 1/4 inch-ish, something like that, to your bread. So I'm only gonna cut 3 for now. Have you guys had the baby brie that they sell at Trader Joe's? It's like these little individual rounds. They're about this big. They come in a little package, and they're really good for lunches or tricking yourself into thinking you're only gonna eat one of them because they're small. All right, those are gonna go in there. I'm going to tear some prosciutto. You don't need a full piece of prosciutto for each one of these. You certainly could if you wanted to, but you only need a little bit. So I just kind of like to, well, that one kind of tore easily, but you can tear it into a few pieces and then just kind of pile it nicely on top. I do need to cut some dried apricots though. If you didn't want to do a dried fruit, you could also do like fig jam would be really good. Have like a caramelized onion type of jam that would be really tasty. I'm gonna work on a cheese board post because I do a lot of cheese boards over on Instagram and people always ask questions, but I found a little mini version of the fig spread that I like at the grocery store yesterday, and this would be great on a cheese board, but it would also be nice smeared on the base of this, then topped with the prosciutto, the cheese, and the whatever greens and or nuts that you wanted to put on top. These, my hands are all greasy from the prosciutto, but dried apricots, I like to cut them kind of in thirds about so you can sprinkle a couple on top and have them spaced out so you're not getting one giant chunk of fruit. So I just cut each of them like this into little slices. You could also dice them if you wanted to. We're going to use a fruit preserve instead. I just kind of like adding different colors when I do an appetizer like this because it looks fun and inviting, and like it took a lot more work than it did because it's only been, well, it's been 20 minutes, but I've been yapping, so. All right, so here's our garlic rubbed bread. Just gonna pile up some prosciutto on each piece. This would be really good with a glass of wine, like while somebody was grilling something outside. So I've got a little prosciutto on each. I'm going to top them all with one of the slices of brie. And then a couple pieces of the dried apricot. And then I used regular olive oil for broiling them, but for topping, I like to use, like, if you can get, either if you have a specialty olive oil store near you, this is from one that went out of business, I think. No, maybe this one's in Valhalla, the Twisted Branch. They seem to kind of pop up and go out of business a lot. But if you get a nice topper oil, this one is an extra virgin single estate blend. And just do a really light little drizzle on top. And then some of whatever greens you have. So you can see just like a little bit. I like the oniony flavor of chives, so that works for me. But and then our toasted almonds that are cool. Again, you don't need to toast them. I like having a little bit of something extra crunchy, but the bread is crispy from being toasted, so. And there you go. That is it. It's a pretty little bite. It's a little messy to eat, but it's, oh, I almost forgot the best part. Love the Twisted Branch and Valhalla. Yeah, they have a lot of good stuff. So I almost forgot one extra sweet bit. I like to drizzle a little honey on top. And if you have one of these little honey dippers, they kind of give you a nice stream. You can just kind of dunk it in the honey, spin it so it stops dripping, and then gives you like a controlled drizzle. I found a couple on Amazon. I put them, they're linked in my Amazon shop. I like this one because it's a little short. It looks good on cheese boards. There's some metal ones that are really pretty. It just is a nice way to drizzle it without going overboard. And that is it. So see if I can like remotely delicately eat this so you can hear like how crispy and awesome it is. It's really good. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a really easy one. It's great for weekend entertaining. If you try it out, I'd love to hear what you think about it. Tag me online at Big Flavors, #CookBigFlavors, and if you do try any of my recipes, if you could leave a rating on the recipe post on my website, that helps other people find my recipes. So I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I will maybe see you next week. My son's off school next Friday, so I'm not sure if I'm going to come on or if I'm going to do a different day or just wait till the next week. So I will see you next time. Bye.